Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have Space Boy himself. Alex, how you doing?
Hello, everyone.
What a gorilla. Across from me, we have the Kraken. Gerard, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you, Marvin?
What do they call that?
I don't know because he. Why do they call?
I don't.
that?
Some of the names made sense. Some of the names didn't make sense.
Oh, no, I meant what do you call it? What kind of hat's that?
Oh, this is called a pork pie hat.
Pork pie. I was going to say.
Made famous by Mr. Walter White, or would he be Doctor? No, I think he's Mr. Walter White from Breaking Bad.
I don't think he has his PhD.
Yeah, because
Jinx.
oh shit, because Walter White. I was him for Halloween one year, so I had this hat. I was
Yeah.
like, perfect.
And I am Pogo the chimpanzee, not a monkey. That lady said it was a monkey. We'll talk about that later. But if you're joining us in the show, you see the title of the show. Obviously, this is the Wednesday Comics League of Extraordinary Gentle People's Book Club. Hashtag. First one.
Yeah, first one ever.
First one ever out of the gates. We're doing Umbrella Academy Volume 1 Apocalypse Suite. That is Gerard Wade and Gabriel Ba. Dave Stewart on colors. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it actually in a second here, but we're just ramping up. So this is a book club. We announced it 3 months ago, beginning of the quarter.
Yeah.
We'll announce another book at the end of the show, so stick around. If you didn't have a chance to read this, you know what? This is in prosperity. This sits here. You know what? You read it at your own pace. You come back to this episode, you listen to it. You can send me if you want to send me an email 2 months from now, I'll answer you. But if you want, listen to the end of the show, listen to that book. Garrett is going to announce what that book is, and get on board for that. That one will be beginning of January. We'll talk about that on the first Thursday in January. Make sure to get your feedback in by that. I don't know what date that is. You know what date that is? You're pretty good with dates.
Not the top of my head.
If Christmas is on a Sunday, that's 25th.
So then
Work it out.
The first would be a Sunday.
Here, I'll just pull out this thing called a cell phone and look.
The 5th.
You looked that up while I introduced. So the reason why I wanted to pick this book and I brought it up and was because, first off, Gerard Wade is running this line at DC now called Young Animal, which is going to
January 4th.
January 4th. Get your library cards. Go get this next book. If you no interest in this book, just skip to the end of the show and hear what the new book is and go get that book. But it's going to be a teaser for the rest of you guys. So Gerard Wade is in charge of the Young Animal line at DC.
Correct.
Are they melding that into DC proper?
Didn't you say they were going to do that into Vertigo? I thought that was all the Young Animals becoming Vertigo.
Maybe. There was some talk about no more Young Animal, but the books will stick around, but the name's going to go away. Gerard Wade is writing Doom Patrol. He is co-writing Cave Carson, right? That was it called?
Yep, Cave Carson is a cybernetic guy.
And he's basically overlooking Mother Panic, Shade the Changing Girl. Was there one more? Or was that it? 4 books.
I think it was only the 4.
Only the 4. Okay.
Oh, Bug. The Bug Forager. Or
that was a mini, though, right?
I think
it's
that's
over.
all
I thought
going.
that was a 6th issue thing.
Yeah, so but that's not, that was your first taste of Gerard Wade, right? That's the first thing you read by him? Did you read Doom Patrol? Did you get into it?
I didn't get Doom Patrol.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. But still, like...
For some reason, I thought I had read something else by him, but I don't remember what it was. Maybe I'm thinking of Daniel Wade. Daniel Wade from Deadpool.
I read The Fabulous Killjoys for a little bit. For a while, longer than I gave most books a chance. Really weird book. Doom Patrol, we read for a while.
At least the first arc, the first 6 issues.
That was good, but I felt like that would read better in trade, so I was going to read in trade. Yeah. I actually have it lined up in the Supla, I think, to read.
I think, for that, anyways, that you have to know a little bit more about the Doom Patrol.
Speaking of that, by the way, not that it pertains to the book club, but Doom Patrol, Grant Morrison's, they just put on Hoopla, so that's on there too.
Oh, sweet!
So you can read the whole thing and then roll into Gerard Wade.
Perfect.
But he's always been a writer, which. For me, when I read Killjoys and I looked into it, and I was like, oh, this guy's a singer for My Chemical Romance, and he's writing a book. And actually was, like, that book was very interesting, but it was very, very out there. But I always found it, like, very interesting, the concepts of it. And then Doom Patrol I really liked.
Yeah.
So when I saw, I always heard about Umbrella Academy back in the day, because I think it was coming out around the time I first got into comics. And it was all something like, I heard people like, it's great, it's fantastic. But I was like, it seems a little too much for me right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I always like put it on the back burner. So when I announced this thing to you guys, and I was like, I think I want to pick this book, and I put it out there. We had some other choices too, right? We went through a couple, but I was like, I think this one right now is like really unique, and Netflix just announced they're going to make it into a TV show, which we'll talk about actually after we review the book. So I feel like it right now is the perfect time to read this book.
Yeah.
If you're going to go in new. So that's just the reasoning for the book. And when we talk about the next book too, we have some reasoning beyond that, but we'll talk about that. So Umbrella Academy, Volume 1, Apocalypse Suite. We're getting right into the review. Gerard Way writing. We have Dave Stewart on colors. Gabriel Ba doing the art. Gabriel was also on one of my favorite books, Day Trippers. Or Day Trippers, it's called.
Day Tripper, singular.
I think it's just one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dave Stewart, obviously notorious for Hellboy, for BPRD, Black Hammer. The guy's a dark horse colorist that is very, very good at what he does. And make no mistake, this book he's very good into. For a while I was reading this book, and I was like, man, these colors are good. And I thought that Gabriel was doing his own colors. I think because he does it in Day Tripper. And then I read the afterword, and it said Dave worked on the colors. And it doesn't even mention his last name. And I was like, Dave Stewart, that's who it is.
It has to be.
It has to be. That's the only person you mentioned by your first name, and I know he's a colorist. So let's get into, this is a 6-issue. The first volume is 6 issues. The first 6 issues, it's a mini.
And not to say that we're going to talk about the sequel, but they make it seem like there wasn't going to be anything after this volume 1.
If you read the
this is
afterward,
contained.
Yeah.
I love how each issue, it does maybe a couple pages of primer, and then it's enter the Apocalypse Suite, and literally the title is what the heck this issue's about, which is cool. I thought that it just is so smooth. When you go from chapter 1 all the way to, and herein lies the end, or however they say it, but it's fun.
Yeah, so we have the first issue. We start out with the introduction, the concept, which is the one major thing about Gerard Way that blows my mind, is that how unique and creative his concepts are. And the beginning, we have, especially in the trade, you have an introduction by Grant Morrison. He says the same thing. And then the afterward from the editor, he says the same thing. They're both blown away that this guy at 30 was like, hey, what about this idea? And it's totally unique. It's not based on anything else that somebody else had. He's just like, what about this? Because the editor talks about for a while in the afterward that a lot of people grow up and I want to be a creative. And then they work on Captain America, working on somebody else's creation and never finding their own voice. But Gerard Way, I think, really does. In this first issue, we get introduced into the concept. The concept is very out there. So there's this wrestler. He's wrestling this squid, right?
Yep. Giant space squid.
Space squid. And he elbow drops him. And the moment that he elbow drops him, how many women?
43.
43 women around the world that were never pregnant before, mostly single mothers, single women, give birth to babies. And nobody knows why. Never explained. That's something in this book, too, that I really like. There's a lot of concepts that come up, and he doesn't feel the need to be hey, here's what this means. It's just hey, this is the world.
This is what happened.
This is what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to explain why else, and it doesn't matter why they all had kids. But you have Monaco. What's his real name? It says right here.
Hargreaves.
Reginald Hargreaves.
Greaves.
Is I'm going to go find all of them, but he only finds 7. And he finds 7 and decides to adopt them. He kind of erases that they were part of these 7 that were part of this phenomenon, but says, hey, I'm going to adopt 7 kids. He has a little press conference, but that's it. That's basically the start of this book.
Right.
And then they move on to the first chapter of this book, the first issue, the day the Eiffel Tower went berserk. And right away, I think Gerard Way is telling you, shit's going to get silly. You know what I mean? It's not going to be just so super serious. The Eiffel Tower is a spaceship. There's some guy inside that,
the creator of the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
Some evil scientists. And it's just out there. I think it's right away when you're reading this, especially for me, I was just okay, this is not somebody who's who sat down and was okay, I've read comics before. How does it work? This is a guy who was man, I have a story about he probably, this reminds me, he probably saw the Eiffel Tower, was what if that thing, right away, that's how creative he is. He saw it and was what if that was a spaceship?
Dude, because you know what, honesty, it looks like a spaceship.
Yeah.
It does. It's got a pointy top.
Yeah.
It can only go up.
What do you guys think of the first issue?
I loved it.
Yeah. It's a very cool intro. I don't think any book has ever opened like this. It's kind of I don't know if I could call it a hard open. It still gives you like the smallest amount of explanation
There's a
of
little.
how these kids.
But the
come
way that it
around.
transitions from how these kids come into the world to right away saving the world, it's like it basically tells you, that really doesn't matter. Let's skip that part. Let's skip the origin, which some things like dwell on. Like they dwell on the origin for this 6 issues could have been a whole origin thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, they were like, no, let's skip that. And so the kids are what, 10 at this point?
Yeah. Yep.
And really in this one of their first missions, you get introduced instead of their origins, something more important, who they are, these characters, like the dynamic of the team. Obviously, Space Boy, the leader, or thinks himself the leader, the Leonardo of this
It's not
group.
called Space Boy yet.
He's not Space Boy yet. You're right. He's number one.
Number one. I love the number designation.
Yes. Yep.
That is cool.
Talk about that.
In the in your guys's, I have the issues, so I've read 1 through 6 in issue form. Is there a
Break in each chapter.
Well, a break in each chapter, but at the beginning of this, is there, they have the pictures of here's 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through 7, and then it gives you the designation. Number 1 is, oh, he's a jackass, thinks he's the leader.
No, we didn't get any.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that's what I have, is that it shows you in order who they were, and then it tells you number 1 is, here's a little description of him, here's the powers he has.
Do you have these? Did you get these? Is that the actual cover?
Yes.
Okay.
James Jean.
Amazing.
Or Gene James kick ass. I love
those
these
covers are so great. No, we don't get that explanation, but I can understand monthly they need you to be reintroduced, but reading it back to back, I told Alex before you got here, read really fast. I was surprised.
Yeah, I read it in maybe an hour.
I read it less than an hour, so you must have read it in like 10 minutes.
Well, there's an extra 20 pages in the trade
Collection?
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 25.
Well, yeah, I thought the number designations were cool because I don't know. It was kind of like James Bond. It was like we had 001, 002, 3 through 7.
Well, it just shows you right away also that like how much that Monocle Reginald doesn't care about the kid. Like he doesn't even give them names.
Yeah,
1
they're
through 7.
designations. That's it.
Oh, you're here to save the world, he says at the beginning.
Sounds like their mother gave them the names.
Yeah, later on we'll meet the mother who gives them names, but he's just like, you're here to save the world. That's your purpose in this. And in this first issue, we meet Seven, who doesn't have powers,
and she's with Monocle, like chilling, and he's like, "What?" She's like, "Why can't I be there?"
Why can't I go play?
And he's like, "You suck. Like you're not
like,
special."
Because there's nothing special about you. So obviously, right there, where you learn also like
He's a dick.
he really does only care about their powers. He doesn't like. There's nothing special about her, so he doesn't care about her.
But to be fair, he could have let the other kids destroy her. So I mean, he
He's not evil.
He does care a little bit. I mean, he
He's
doesn't
selfish.
want.
Yeah.
Now you'd mentioned the Leo. Honestly, Turtles went through my brain off and on, at least between Kraken and Space Boy. It's like, holy shit, you guys really are Raph and Leo. Just
That's a cool dynamic that like they always had this like animosity towards one another, but and we'll come to it later. But they actually have a mutual respect for one another as well.
So in the first issue, after the Eiffel Tower thing, we see 20 years later, they just jump a Space Boy in the moon, and that's when we actually see him as he was in an accident, lost his body, so he has a gorilla body, and he still has his head, but he has a gorilla body. You see
Fucking awesome.
You know what? See, like this right here on like the poster in the newspaper and in this scene here is just like subtle ways that Gabriel and Gerard's just like, I get a whole origin of that 20 years, like what happened to him. In 2 panels, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't need them to over-explain it. And they explain more as it goes on, like stuff that happened between other characters. But like understand, hey, Space Boy, the first boy in space, mission failure, he lost his body and had to get some sort of experiment done on him, obviously to be the gorilla.
And you can see starting in this issue, like Hargreaves, like he loves number 1. I mean, if he had to love any of them, it was number 1. And so like. It shows like that that Hargreaves did his surgery and things like that. It's like, do you think that would happen for 7? Hell no.
Yeah.
So
and I hadn't noticed the first time I read this. So I read it Monday and I reread it again tonight. Monocle is an alien, apparently.
Yeah, they bring it up and they're just like,
There's never mentioned it again. You never see what he looks like because he has his mask off, and I hadn't noticed it earlier in this issue 1. And he's looking in the mirror, but you never see his alien face. You just see his skin mask.
yeah, next to it.
Next to
But
him.
that's what I mean. Like even there's a lot of concepts in here where Gerard is just like, be like he's an alien, and then that's it. You know what I mean? And I actually thought that was great for building the world, rather than expanding on it and possibly ruining the mystique and about it. He's just like he's an alien, and it kind of makes it that this character is a little like you don't really know who he is then,
Right.
So all his like motives and is he really saving the world? Like all this stuff you're not sure about now because now he threw in he's an alien, and I don't know what that means.
And this book makes it so like so good and like so unobvious that he is an alien. Like I always forget. Like I'm pretty sure by the time I got to issue 3 or 4, I was like, "Oh, that guy's human. He's just an asshole." But no, he's an alien. You're right. Like I spaced about that sometimes, and I had to like rethink. I'm like, why is he being a douche? I'm like, oh wait, maybe he doesn't have like
Why is he being
Maybe he doesn't
have like the
maybe-
emotional
yeah, he's
spectrum
not.
of like a human.
And these are like human kids, and he doesn't really care.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's more like methodical.
Or maybe he was
basically.
related to the squid. Man, that's why he wanted the kids. We don't know.
Maybe he's the mother.
There's so much
Maybe he's the
mystique about it.
squid.
That'll be like the one thing I say about, and we talk about the show on and off Lost, but the one thing, like I love Lost, but their one thing towards the end of the season is just because they got so much pressure being like, you got to explain this, explain this, explain this. Sometimes things don't have to be explained. They're just a
Right.
story point. You can forget about them. And that's what I like about this book. It's like, here's a mystery, and humans do need a need for conclusion. So that's why a lot of times people are like, what does it mean? Like, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that he's an alien.
I read this book as a person who needs the logic. I could have given 2 shits about logic in this book. I love this book for what it was.
I think it's because at the beginning, Gerard lets you know anything can happen in this book. Like, it really doesn't matter. Eiffel Towers, spaceship, the wrestlers wrestling. They never explain why. He's wrestling a space
just
squid.
is.
It
It's
just
just how it is, yeah.
It just is. And these kids, mysterious, no explanation. All they just are born.
So the only one I don't 6, he dies, right?
Yes.
How does he die? Oh, he doesn't explain.
We're not
They don't
sure.
know. That's right.
They don't say.
What was 6? Did he have a power in this?
He's the horror. He's the one that's got the squid thing
Oh,
going on his
that's
stomach.
right.
He's in the.
He was my favorite character
Right.
that we
He was
didn't
in
get
the
any
bonus
story
story.
from.
Yeah.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see. Now I don't get the bonus story.
You have to read it. It's pretty good.
Was it?
It's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a sizzle. It was
He
like
was
a
telling me
free
that
comic book.
he was telling me
day.
that Rumor gets her own issue too, where you learn what her power actually is.
We'll talk about that at the end. We'll explain to you what goes on in that book. So we learned that Reginald Monocle died, and Spaceboy goes back to Earth, and he meets Pogo. And was it number 5?
Yes.
Number 5 is back from the future. Like so during the Eiffel Tower thing, he left, and they didn't know where he was. He came back, and he's like, "I came back. Something worse is coming." And he goes, "You've been gone for the last 20 years. What's happening?" And he goes, now Pogo says this. Spaceboy can wait. You're home now. The others will be here tomorrow. And then something I thought was really, by the way, the title pages in this whole series, each title page, I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love a great title page. Like if you can nail the title page, which is like something like somebody like Hickman does, I think Grant Morrison does, you already like sold me on a fourth of the book. If you're thinking about design already, it's already like you're setting up a mood for the book. But at the end of the issues, I think every single one, right? It's like a paragraph of text of something weird.
Yep.
It says in the end of the first one, this is the end of the first part of Umbrella Academy Adventure, Apocalypse Suite. There are 5 more chapters to the series with 22 pages per chapter, totaling 132 pages. There are 7 members of the Umbrella Academy and 72 names on the Eiffel Tower. There are no connection between these numbers. And it's just like,
What? Yeah.
it's like, and I think it's just part of that like mystique. I don't like it. I guess maybe there's some connection. I wouldn't, but it really doesn't matter. But when I first read it, I was like, do I want to write these down and like pay attention to this, or do I just keep reading? I just kept reading.
Yeah.
I took what he said as a sign there was no connection. It's just facts. Here's facts for you.
What does he mean by 72 names, do you think?
I assume there were names written on the Eiffel Tower, whether who it was who helped build it, workers who had died, people who've thrown themselves off.
You think so? Maybe that's how it is.
So
I guess I took it as, and mine doesn't even make sense now that you said that. The people who jumped off or fell off and died, but I don't think many people.
well, and I thought about that maybe it's the people who died on that day.
Yeah.
But I was thinking maybe it's an actual thing, a legitimate fact.
I'll look that up here in a second. We get this issue cover 2. Once again,
So good.
1 and 2, I think, had my favorite covers.
2 is really great. Pogo. Yeah, Spaceboy and Pogo are at the I guess the Academy mansion to welcome all his brothers and sisters coming home. So they're all adopted. I mean, obviously they're not all actual brothers and sisters. They're all what do you call that?
Adopted.
Step brothers and sisters, I guess you would call
Well, I guess I
What do you call it
I
between
assume from them they are literally brothers and sisters.
I guess
but
if they're
they're not
adopted,
from-
yeah.
Right.
They're not from the same parents, obviously.
Or they might be
Well,
because they're all spontaneously born.
Yeah, let's say we know they all different mothers. That's the only thing. Rumor comes home, meets Space Boy. What's her number?
3.
3.
And she was 4. Who's 4?
Seance is 4.
Seance is 4.
Seance also shows up, and Seance is like the funny guy of the group. He's your Mikey, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking. He's the
like
Mikey.
I think he's like the punk. He's like the gothic.
Telekinesis.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I bet if I asked Gerard Wade, or you can find an interview, son, I really didn't look for anything like that because I just wanted to read this book fresh. But I bet this character is based on Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
Because I know he loves Grant Morrison. He talks about it. Grant Morrison talks about how Gerard Wade would approach him in the beginning and the intro of this trade. Be like, I love your work. So this person, it seems like Grant Morrison-esque, like gothy, fun, like kind of has a weird sense of humor, and telekinesis. Which, if you watch that documentary on Hulu, Grant Morrison might think he has powers.
I haven't watched that yet. I need to.
When he does drugs only, though.
Oh, okay.
So that's his power. We get an amusement park, and we get these Terminauts. They show up, and they're like, hey, this is a good place to start a
riot.
And then we get this sweet page from Gabriel Ba and Dave Stewart. I started this page for a while. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially like even the title. It's like we only see each other's at weddings and funerals. Which when I saw that, I was like, I saw that. I was like, oh, that's a good name for a song. And I was like, oh wait, Gerard Wade is a songwriter. Right. Maybe it is possibly one that he thought of. But you saw number 5 went to the future. They would talk about where he's been, and he went to the future and saw the world had ended, and he stayed in the future for how long?
Sorry, I'm looking down at
the. That was like 60 years.
Yeah, he was really
50,
old, man.
60, yeah.
And he's trying to find a way home, and he can't find a way home. He doesn't know how to go back because even, Reginald, what's his last name?
Hargreaves.
Okay.
The monocle tells him it's impossible to come back after
he said
you go to the
you
future.
can't go. You only can go forward, and he never believed him. He's a kid, and so he actually is trying to go back. Now he can't go back. So he has this huge wall. He's writing a formula, and he can't. He's like, it's not working. And then a fucking
statue.
What do you call those? Mannequin. Or it might be statue.
I guess I was assumed it was a statue for some reason, but maybe it is a mannequin.
Well, if you look at the bottom, it's like meant
got
to
that
a
hole.
mannequin dress.
Yeah, there's like holes and stuff.
Yeah.
So mannequin's like, hey, you forgot to subtract 2 from the 1.
Dolores.
And she's like, oh, she goes, I know it's 12 years ago, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
So it's like a moment of surreality because this fucking, like, you don't know if he's hallucinating or if maybe this thing can actually talk. He doesn't explain it. Like I said, a lot of things are just like as is, take it as is. And then also it's pretty funny. And it made me laugh. And so he figures out how to go back to the past. And that's how he showed up. And he tells him, hey, the world's going to end 3 days from now. Like it happens 3 days from now. Like, he tells them the world's going to end. And they're all arguing and stuff like that. Like, oh, how do you know for sure? Are you sure we're hallucinating and stuff like that? And he goes, it's 3 days from now. Like, we got to get on this thing. This issue I thought was great. So 20 years later, we're not shown what happens in that 20 years. If you go and read their Free Comic Book Day issue, they show a little bit of it. But 20 years later, just with them talking to each other and acting with each other, you kind of get what happened between those 20 years, right?
Yeah, like basically how everyone's relationship is with one another. I mean, Space Boy and Kraken obviously have like the brothers falling out. Yeah. You have Kraken who has a thing for Vanya. 7. And then I guess
Rumor left and got married.
But has always had the Jones for that's what
Space Boy.
My 2-4.
No, they kind of have a thing going on here. She talks about how that
kiss, but I guess it's
she was married, but then now he took off with her kid.
Yeah.
So she's not sure if she's ever going to see her again. You see their mom for the first time, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Seance is having the time of his fucking life. Like,
he doesn't
care about anything.
He also mentions he's on drugs, right?
Yeah.
Too, so like he's having time.
Horror's dead and been dead for a long time.
Yeah, they mentioned the horror was that something happened to him. Like they said, they would get into it really, but they said he died.
When they have that statue that honors him.
Yep.
So that statue's in there like all the time.
And they make reference to. I mean, they even here's a panel of just the statue that you're looking at.
Right.
And then you spoke about Vanya. So
Yep.
Number 7.
The unspecial one.
In the first issue, got a call, was like, hey, if you want to get back at them, come meet us. And she shows up, and she finds this orchestra being like,
We're murderers and killers.
we're murderers and killers. You're going to help us kill Umbrella Academy. And she basically is like, screw you. And somebody was like, should I go after her? And the main conductor was like, no, just wait. If she's going to go meet her family, she'll be back.
Right.
So she goes there, or no. The Umbrella Academy, the other 1 through 6 minus
6.
minus 6, 1 through 5. See that in the amusement park with the Terminauts
Burst into flame.
that it's on fire. What's going on here? So they go over and say, hey, Terminus. By the way, also, Terminus was ever explained or not really?
Terminal's mentioned in 2, but then in issue 3, you go back to the start where he had told the Umbrella Academy that when you guys reform as a team, these robots are going to come back and kill you guys.
But also, Terminus was the one that killed Horror, right?
I don't know.
I think that's what he said. I think
because I know that he's got Rumor tied up in issue 3.
Yeah,
and he's gagged her mouth so she can't talk to him. I don't know. I can't read the mini stories of Rumor and Horror.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's
some reason I'm recalling that 6 died because of some reason.
Well, there are kids here, and that statue of him is when he's older. So
Right, could have been when he's older. Well, no, it could have been when he's older.
Oh, yeah, maybe, but they don't really.
They talked that issue 3 that Terminal may not be dead.
Yeah.
They learn about that. So they see it across the way, and they're okay. Let's go figure out what's going on. Issue 3, like you said, beginning of it, Rumors tied up with Terminus.
Terminal. Terminus is from Detective Comics New 52.
Also, Walking Dead.
That's really?
Yeah, that's what
it's one of the town's name.
So he's a disease, right? Where it affects his nervous system. The last thing it takes is his brain.
He's got Einstein syndrome.
Einstein, is that real?
And no, I don't know if you guys had it in the back of your books. I had stuff talking about Eiffel Tower, and they talked about Einstein syndrome.
Oh, really?
Like diagrams and stuff?
Back matter you're talking about.
Damn.
No, we didn't get that.
Oh.
We looks like we got a little piece. That we need
So you got something, we got something.
I got stuff you guys didn't have. You have stuff I don't have.
Obviously, the benefits of getting issues and trade, so.
Yeah.
So, what was it saying? Oh, so he had Einstein syndrome, so it is real.
Yes. Well, at least in this.
At least what the way
in this it's real. I don't know if it's a real disease or not. But it attacks your neurons and then eats your brain for last.
And he makes a suit, right, to save himself?
Yep. Makes a suit that he ends up killing all the doctors.
Go ahead and talk about what happened.
But it feeds off, doesn't it feed off
energy,
limbs and because he goes
and the machine doesn't like the taste of old doctors. Loves the taste of little girls apparently. So he's got the machine that takes energy and transforms and feeds the syndrome he's got.
Right, to keep him alive.
To keep him alive. So how did he say it? He was talking to a reporter, ugly person apparently, and after he got done eating the reporter, the cage he was being held in, all the guards, all the doctors, his machine was still not satiated or finished eating. So he goes, I'm going to make these robots, the Terminauts, that either you guys reform, I finish eating Finland, these guys will come and destroy you. These robots will come and destroy you.
Right. To keep you away from my axe.
It's not real.
It's not real?
No. But there is a thing called Einstein syndrome, but it's not that. It's Einstein syndrome in real life is when your kid's a late talker, like he learns to talk late. They usually turn out to be more intelligent than other kids. So that's what it said.
Explain a lot.
I didn't talk till last year. Look at me.
Oh, God.
By the way, so in this page, a lot of blood. Very mature book for what it is, right?
I think it's still I still think you get away with.
But it's not mature. It's not gratuitous. It's not like that. But hey, it's a superhero book. It's not like, hey, buddy, this is for everybody. It's still I would think this is for 16 above. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a more mature story. You could get it through the first issue all right.
Dave Stewart, obviously the master of blood and stuff like that and monsters from his Hellboy days and BPRD.
Which is what this book made me. I mean, this is like a book mix of Turtles, BPRD. There's one other thing that really...
Once again, every single title page is amazing in the series. Dr. Terminal's Answer. And each one is around the title has something. The Umbrella Academy featuring the Terminauts in Dr. Terminal's answer being part 3 of 6 in the story Apocalypse Suite. So it just kind of is like a story, like a song title, each one that he made for this. But Ba and Stewart's artwork on like these pages, amazing.
Nailed
it. The style is all of it. I mean, Ba, even in Day Tripper, it's a little bit different style. So like when I first started reading this, I was like, oh, this really is this Ba? Oh, it is. Okay. It's not 100% the same. You could tell that
different colors or
different colors. I think his brother helps him in that book, Fabio Moon. But even still, like I feel like the design work and all that kind of stuff, it's like a mix. Obviously, it's Wade's probably input with Ba's artwork. So I really like all the way, like, Space Boy's costume. All the costumes look great.
Yeah, they do. They look awesome.
Which makes me think, and we'll talk more about it in depth later, but if this gets adapted to Netflix, I kept thinking when I saw it, are they going to go full in? Or are they going to be like, keep it realistic?
I think they're going to pull it back, and I hope they don't. It'd be nice to see them embrace this material.
Because it's so out there. It's like,
but I feel like you couldn't do that. That wouldn't be
anywhere.
Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, if you can do anywhere, it's Netflix.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Right.
Right. So maybe that's the plus. So we'll see. So we learned that 5, when he came back, he did something where he's stuck in time now. He still is 60 on the inside, but he's 10 on the outside. And he's not aging anymore, but he's not also getting younger. So he's stuck at 10, which is kind of, like a unique thing. It's like it kind of reminds me of Black Hammer with
Golden Gale.
Golden Gale.
Yeah.
Like she's
absolutely.
really old in a young body. So you have this guy who's like really intelligent, but like there's a couple of people, Pogo and
his mother,
like don't take him seriously because he looks like a kid. He's like, dude, I'm older than both of you. What are you doing? Like, I know what I'm doing.
That is cool. Like he's like. He reminds me of like Damien from Batman. Like he's just this little pompous ass because he's like, "Hey, I've seen it all. I know it all." Like,
but to be fair, I believe that 5 actually knows everything.
Damien
is a pompous ass, but he thinks he knows all.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
5,
this actually, he's lived through.
Does legitly, yeah.
Like even though 1 pretends to be a leader, I feel like 5 is the leader.
Yeah,
like, he knows what's going on. He's leading the team, telling what we have to do. He's just not the guy who can punch hard. So.
On the turtle side, 5 is Donnie or Splinter.
I feel like he's Splinter.
Where he actually does, he knows everything, has lived through everything, can beat the shit out of it, because he's strong. He does have some enhanced strength of some kind. Whether it's speed, strength, or whatever.
I thought it's speed. I thought that's what it is. Because later on we'll talk about he kills these guys in a diner. But I feel like it's the Flash. Like he's so fast because he can slow down time that he just takes them out. Because she mentions that, like, I didn't even see it coming. I don't know how he did it so quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's really strong. It's just, well, if you're really fast, you're going to be really strong, obviously. Because force times mass equals acceleration. No, that's the wrong one.
I don't think
what's force? Speed times weight or mass? Yeah, speed times weight. Is that it?
Okay, we're gonna get some science people telling us. You guys
let us know WednesdayComic65@gmail.com. Hey, it's been years since I've been in physics. But you heard me. I only learned how to talk last year.
Not any mathematologists.
So this whole fight scene with the Terminauts, I thought was pretty cool. You have Kraken does his own thing, almost dies, but he saves these kids. So the dude's not all bad. He's kind of like the Batman. He does his own thing, and later on he has its own commissioner he talks to.
Which is awesome. Lupo?
Yeah, Lupo.
Oh, fucking
cool. I love, you get barely any Lupo, but I like Lupo.
Lupo is sweet.
And the little time he has in this book, I know who that guy is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Kraken's saving these 3 kids in the Tunnel of Love kind of thing in this amusement park. They're stuck in the boat. The Terminauts are looking for him, Kraken, but they see the kids. They're like, well, when life gives you lemons.
Well, that was something that they said in issue 1 when they showed up, is that, hey, there's a lot of pedestrian citizens that we can kill. So high fatality right there.
Right. Yeah, that is cool. It's kind of just showing them, like, because we saw them with the Eiffel Tower working as a unit, and this is like kind of them forced to work together.
You saw after 20 years.
Yeah.
They obviously Kraken doesn't care to work with him anymore. He works by himself.
Rumor freezes up.
Out of it. Yeah, she's not really a thing anymore. It's more Space Boy and
Seance is still on drugs, doing his own thing.
Yeah, he's kind of like, you can't tell he's paying attention or not. He's like making jokes, and you're kind of like, nice, is he really gonna help me or not? But all turns out good. Kraken helps with his knives. Is that his power? He just throws knives.
Yeah,
and he's like, He's like the Batman, yeah.
I'd have to remember, but it is he's aggressive and has a not potency to throw knives, but
Accuracy?
well, but it's another word.
Marksman.
He just likes throwing knives. But doesn't Ivana show up in this one?
So at the end, we get a weird scene. They go back to the Icarus Theater, and the conductor is shooting people.
Well, they're not fulfilling what he wants. He wants the violinists.
Oh, that's
and
right.
So
You're
he's
right.
shooting them when they fail him.
Then she shows up again. She goes, I used to think I had a family, but I have nobody. Let's give them a performance they'll never forget. So she's giving in to let me help you take them out. And then at the end, we get a little chart. Once again, something weird at the end of the issue. Tells you how many fatalities there are in amusement parks.
It's kind of unsettling when I read that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, snap.
Again, facts. Scary facts.
I was trying to figure out the whole time. I don't know if I have a full grasp on it, like what the point of these last things were. And I think each one, like the first time, it's just a lot of numbers. Like this doesn't mean anything, and then this really doesn't mean anything either to the book. I think it's a lot to like he does a lot to like get you off your game, to be like,
right.
It's kind of like unsettling, but like, oh, I just have this information. So, but
it kind of lets your imagination go off, like to think about how this connects to those things. Like
it's also like in a dark humor way, kind of funny, being like, hey, like here's how many people usually die at an amusement park, even though obviously these people died not because of the amusement park, they died because of the Terminats, but
right.
Like, it's also kind of in a dark humor way, being like
ironic,
yeah, ironic. Issue 4 starts with that was issue 3 we talked about. 18 years ago, another flashback, and I feel like the flashbacks aren't to be like, hey, I'm trying to let you know what happened. It's more character things. There's a lot of characters.
To tell you more about the character's history.
We get Seven, who broke her violin. Sad days.
Did she break it or did someone break it?
I think she was angry.
Because she's mad at everybody else.
She says, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. We're rolling down the hallway. Pogo sees her. Pogo, obviously, you learn throughout these 4 issues, like he really felt bad for her, tried to be her best friend. They were good friends. So,
well, I found that Pogo, I think, is the like surrogate father when Monocle's not around.
He was more the real dad.
And I think he's the sidekick to Space Boy. Because you see in issue 1 where they're side by side in space.
Well, you see in issue 1 also, there's a little thing saying that Monaco built the chips for chimps. So that way they could be be smart and be part of society. It's just like some random thing you see. And then you start seeing chimps in later issues, which is like another cool thing. Like it's subtle way of being like, oh, here's how those chimps are running around and like are talking with people. Baby, I'll be your Frankenstein, part 4 of 6. So they get Seven to agree to help them, but then in a weird way trick her into like having like this sort of surgery to turn into this weapon.
White violin.
Violinist from hell.
And the sad thing is that I think the bad guy's name is the conductor.
Yeah.
He goes, your dad knew how to do this without hurting you as much, but what's the fun in that?
That's something
He's actually like a sadist. He wants her to be in pain.
That's something they reveal also, too, that their dad would experiment on them when they were sleeping. So that's how he like knows that she has powers. Did they explain why, or he just knows? Like, how did he know that?
I assume he would. She's still alive. I'm assuming you had to have powers to survive. If the other, 36 died out of the 43 kids, these 7 survived. So there must be some evolutionary tactic.
That he knew that dad used to experiment on him. Like, did they explain what
Pogo tells you?
Oh, Pogo.
I thought Pogo or the monocle. Later in a later issue, someone finds the monocle.
Oh, that's right.
And tells you
number
about
5
it.
does. He looks through it, and then he can see everything Hargreaves saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ahead of ourselves in issue 4.
No, but I mean, when the conductor's doing the surgery, he tells her that story.
Well,
but he has his
plan.
book. He has the book.
Oh, he has the book. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and his plan was always to get her.
Because then he talks about, it's sometimes to get information, you got to kill 1 or 2 people. But what's the fun in that? We can kill more.
I love this page. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, it's cool.
Good page.
I like when she turns into the violinist.
Yeah,
that's sick.
Oh, that's also very unsettling. So Pogo and 5 are flying through the city. By the way, Pogo can fly, I guess.
Oh, no, they were in the levitators.
They have the levitators on.
We didn't even talk about the televator. What a cool thing.
Well, I don't think I saw it here. So up yet. Well, they talk about it at the beginning. So he invented monocle. Some new inventions, the televator, which is a telephone booth that's in the elevator, kind of like Doctor Who kind of thing.
Right, it can
like
go.
Transports
right.
them. The levelators that make it so they can fly. Was there something else too?
He made some cereal.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the show's name is.
The chip also. But so he's also an inventor. He's and he has a sidekick. We never mentioned the sidekick. Monaco has a sidekick. What's his name?
It's like a jetty or something.
Yeah.
Starts with an A. He's supposed to, in our book, we got some more back material saying that he was going to be more prominent character. They just didn't have enough room to focus on him in the story.
Yeah, he's barely in this book.
Yeah.
You see him. I don't
He's
think
the
he ever
butler.
talks. Yeah.
Right.
We're kind of reminding me of Johnny Quest and his friend.
Kind of.
Yeah, so maybe if they grew up. Johnny Quest was a dick. So we get these couple of great pages like you guys just talked about. And then then they go to the elevator.
Well, then Pogo's asking 5, in all that time you were away, were you ever concerned that you would go insane? That is 5 right telling everybody that there's this destruction apocalypse day coming? Or is this just shit that he's blowing up someone's butt?
Oh yeah, was he hallucinating? You don't know what state of mind you were in. So Pogo also questioned about that. They come home, Kraken's there, he's all bloody from the fight. They have a little spout him and Spaceboy about him running off on his own. He's going to be a team player. And then Spaceboy going, I'm going to go back out there. And Rumor and Seance?
Yep.
Both say, okay, we'll go with you. Oh, then we get the scene. 5 and Pogo, after searching for around, go to the diner. These, who are these guys that show up? Did we ever get any exposure?
They were ruffians. That's what 5 calls them, was just ruffians.
So they're just random guys that show up. That's when we learn like he has other powers rather than just teleporting everywhere. Like we talked about a second ago, it's probably slowing down time so he's faster.
Oh, so they're kind of like the speed force ghost, basically the speed demon that like comes back and is like, hey, if you're screwing with time too much, I'm gonna come like.
Well, I didn't think that. I just assumed they were these 3 thugs that were coming in.
Yeah, I think so.
To start up something.
Just to show off.
And instead powers. Of wasting time, he just beats the shit out of them. I assume obliterates them.
I'll show you what she says in the next issue to explain their powers. But the white violin, at the end he's like, hey, show me your powers. Kills a conductor.
Yeah,
fucking
good.
mutilates.
Splits his
tears him in half.
Tears him in half. A lot of blood. Like so, Jay Stewart making that blood pop. So we get introduced to Lopo in the next issue. Lupo.
Lopo.
Is it Lopo?
I would just say either Lupo or Lupo.
Lupo?
Lupo.
That's Lupo.
You're Lupo.
It's not Lopo.
Lupo.
It shows up downtown crime scene and talks to the waitress, and she says, here's what happened. Kid, about 10 years old. Killed these 3 guys. And he goes, what do you mean? What did they do? He goes, well, they pulled out some of the gun, and then he goes, then what happened? He killed them. He killed every one of them. Who killed them? The little boy. How old did you say this little boy was again? 8 or 10? And how did he kill these strange-looking men? He was so fast, he didn't even show no mercy. He didn't even flinch. It's too horrible to remember exactly what he did to them. I never want to remember that. So I assume if he was too fast, he's the Flash.
Yeah.
He's Flash. He could also time travel. Oh, Flash can time travel. But he didn't fuck up the timeline though. So very.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe you did.
Take some notes.
Once again, thank you for the coffee. Great opening.
That was probably one of my favorite.
Yeah,
openings.
it is. I started this for a while. All of that blood.
And the chimps are there.
Chimps are there
doing,
investigating.
CSI work.
Do you think Detective Bones is there? Is that what his name is?
Who?
Who's the guy from DC Universe that's a chimp detective?
Oh, yeah.
What did we see him in recently? Was it that holiday special last year?
Yeah, he was in that and Multiversity.
Yeah. Let me look.
Or maybe it was Detective Chimp. I can't remember.
I don't think it was Detective Chimp.
Oh.
That Bones sounds
Detective Chimp.
It was Detective Chimp.
I was wrong.
I thought it was either Detective Bones or
because you said Bones and I thought the TV show Bones. Oh, maybe it was Bones.
David Boreanaz.
Yeah, Detective Chimp. Oh, I lost the thing. So we had that little thing, and then we get a little of Lupo and Kraken's relationship. He shows up in the back seat and does the Batman thing, talks for a couple seconds, that disappears. But at least we see the window open, so we know that he fell out the window.
Well, I don't know, but if you look at the picture where after he gets out of the, I assume jumps out the window, looks like he broke the window when he jumped
there's
out.
glass all over the place.
I do like that. That's kind of like a call to Batman, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun little treat, and it's cool like to think of Kraken as his own like vigilante, basically.
I always thought that the Kraken would make more sense for the kid for horror for number 6's name, but I guess if you got these Doc Ock tentacles coming out, it probably is pretty scary to see. So
Yeah.
the horror makes sense.
Hey, and then we have the part of the book that we talked about a little bit ago. So Five and Pogo are talking. He's like, hey, let me tell you about the Kennedy assassination. Puts on the monocle. And then he sees
Pogo going through some horrific
the experiments, all the experiments they did to make him who he is. And he says, I can't take it. Five does. He passes out. Here we go.
Pulls the
Here,
Sioux Storm.
buddy, here we go. This is the one I want to talk to you guys about. So 1 and 4.
3. Rumor.
Have a little moment on top of the thing, talking about, hey, he wants to save the world, and she's talking about his daughter, or her daughter, Rumor talking about her daughter, and being like, that's not all you care about, being a superhero. Like, and he has a nice little moment where he's like, no, but look at me. Like, what else am I now but a superhero? Like, I can't have a normal life anymore. Nobody's going to deal with Chimp Man, Gorilla Man. Of course I wanted kids. Of course I wanted a wife, but like, no, he goes, my job now is to keep it safe for everybody else. Like, let's keep it safe for your daughter. And I really like, well, then she's like, I know you always like me, and they have a little kiss.
Then she go, but to be fair, I thought she used her powers on him. Rumor has it that you wanted to kiss me.
Oh yeah, I also had rumors that you had a thing for me, she says.
So now
Which
it's
is her
true.
power.
So she had the thing for him.
Oh, I didn't even get that. That's what gives you.
If what you told me earlier is that her powers makes
when
it
you
true.
read this, you don't know her powers. It's that Free Comic Book Day thing where they show you who actually her powers are. Which, spoilers, if you read it like Alex in Issues and didn't read the Free Comic Book Day thing, her power is she can say rumors has it, or I heard a rumor, and say something and it becomes true. Like the Free Comic Book Day thing, she says, rumor has it that I go to the library and study. So, like, it created a new one of her that goes to the library and studies. And then a bad guy kills that. So then they think she's dead for a while.
Just her copy.
That's cool.
Just a copy.
I'll have to see if I can find those Free Comic Book Day issues because that sounds
Otherwise,
good.
get some hoopla.
No, I don't think you. It's probably so expensive. They talk about it in the afterward. Remember?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it would become one of the most sought
Popular
after Free Comic Book Day
Oh, really?
things. Yeah. So it's probably a gem out there.
Saga number 1.
Alex likes buying gems. So.
I know he does. Now he's like, oh, I got to get that hunt. He's got that.
If nothing else, I'll just buy the $10 trade.
Yeah.
Save me a lot more money.
Yeah, do that.
There you go.
Kraken.
What about, or have we gotten to the part with Pogo yet?
No, it's coming up
we're
next.
getting there. Okay.
Kraken shows up at Seven's apartment, sees a little note, Icarus, noon. And he's like, oh, okay, let me check the Icarus. That's the only page, though.
Of course, Batman.
Detective.
Right
He sees the coffee's still on, too, so he knows that she hasn't been there in a while. I just noticed that right now. Good detective work. White Violin, she shows up at the Umbrella Academy, blows up the fucking house. So her power is the violin, and when she does a sharp note, it blows up.
Attack stuff. I like when she goes, let's warm up. Blows the shit out of the
Blows
house.
up the manor, and then Pogo's looking out the window. She does a sharp note, and adios, Mr. Pogo.
This is a page that when I think it's a turn that I looked at. Holy shit! My mouth just dropped that she obliterated him.
I was blown. I was like, no, not Pogo.
And then you have Five looking down at him. Not only what went on because he was passed out, but he looks at the window, sees White Violin, so he knows.
And by the way, when Five is actually in the office looking for the revolver, for Hargreaves' revolver, he goes, if shit gets bad, I'm not going to be crushed by a 747 jettison. I'm going to just shoot myself. Do you want me to kill you too, Pogo, when that time comes?
So then we get the last page, or the last panel. On the last page is the paper that we saw when Five went to the future, saying it's a perfect day, nothing bad to report. And then we get a little thing again, just like the last issues. Daytime temperatures, high, low, 78, 70. Humidity, 52, barometer, 993.56 millibars. Wind south to southeast at 3 to 4 miles per hour. Precipitation, 0. Air quality index, excellent. And then we go to the final issue. This book reads fast. We talked before the show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. but it's not fast, and like I felt like I was not getting
speed reading.
Yeah. Like there's a lot. There's a way for it. It feels dense, yet I read it quick. You know what I mean?
I think this is one of those books though that I wanted to read so badly that I read fast, but I retained what I read.
Yeah, but I think it was like letting the art tell a bunch of the story as well. You don't need text box explaining everything. He trusted Gabriel Ba to actually tell you what's going on in some panels, not like, and then a rumor kiss Space Boy. Like, you didn't need that. You saw it on the page.
I think he even trusts the readers enough to know, hey, you guys aren't stupid. If you're going to read this book, you're not stupid.
Right.
You know what's going on. You know how this works.
And by issue 6, you're like, here's the parameters.
Yeah.
If you don't like it,
tough nuggies.
Adios.
We get the finale, or Brothers and Sisters, I Am Atomic Bomb. I just noticed also, like, in these first little panels, sets up how, we'll get to it, but there's a character here that you show him, he goes into the televator, and takes off, and you're kind of like, oh, where's he going? Well, he shows up later. So we have them see...
Who?
Seance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's like holding up his goodbye thing.
Yeah.
He's going to the elevator. At the time, I read that being like, wow, this guy's just taking off. Like, what's going on here? But he shows up later.
Yeah.
So they're doing the Apocalypse Suite. They're doing the finale that's going to bring meteors,
Armageddon.
everything down to the Earth. That's going to bring Armageddon or Apocalypse. Kraken gets a knife on White Violin's neck, plays a little strum with the knife, and pushes him back. Right, that's her power. And so they talk about, like, you got to take care of her quick, is what 5 says. So they try to. And then she cuts 4's. 3's, sorry. Throat. So not only does it take a rumor out, Space Boy's like, I got to bring her to the hospital. And Kraken's like, stay here. Like, what are you doing?
Kraken and 5 are yelling at him, going, where the hell are you going? We need you.
So they only have those two, which we get a scene where they're fighting, punches the guy through the chest, Kraken does, and 5 punches the guy through the head.
Holy shit.
How fast you got to be, how powerful you got to be to do that? Through the head, I mean.
Past the speeding bullet.
Honestly, he's got to be, I don't know how much force it takes just to crack a skull, but simply go through your head is...
Wow, see, I didn't... Oh,
it's quick. It's quick.
It's fast.
This is all falling together. See, this way, like I said, it read quick, but you can reread this thing. Panels, we get panels in between of the elevator going ding, 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 and it's because shows up. Seance shows up, and he goes, Seance. He goes, no, I'm your father. I'm the famous composer. So she's like, oh, Jesus, my dad's a composer, and maybe she gets some sort of...
hey, not to cut you off. I thought it was that this is the father, and I brought back the composer.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He brought back this group of people.
He's pretending to be
her dad.
Like, he came back from that. He wasn't actually dead. He actually looks younger, so maybe some time travel shit. She doesn't know.
You can tell it's Seance because it's so pale.
But, like, we as readers, we know who it is. But the characters don't know.
Yeah, but she hasn't seen them in a while. So I
suppose.
Maybe he's...
And she wasn't at the funeral.
Maybe she hasn't been
So she doesn't know he's dead.
Yeah, that's true. She doesn't know he's dead. So we get Space Boy breaks into the hospital. He's like, somebody help me. That's all we get of that right now. So the 7 and her father, Seance, Seance pretending to be her father, have a little moment, and he once again drills into her. I never cared about you. You're a disappointment. All this stuff to distract her. And then 5 takes the revolver, like you said, and shoots her through the head. And Kraken, at that point, is like, why would you do that? Because he had a thing for her. And she's like, I got the brass you didn't have to take her out. A little too late, though. Meteor coming down.
Right. Which I want to understand Vanya and Kraken's relationship. Maybe we get more in the volume.
See, I was going to say, there's was one that never made sense.
Oh, really? I thought it did. Because they both never felt love from her father or their father.
Oh, makes sense.
So, like, they kind of, like, always, like, felt out of place in that whole group. So they always were kind of attracted to each other.
I never understood that 2 didn't feel loved. I always thought that 2 felt he was underneath 1. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, he didn't feel love from Dad because Dad liked 1.
Well, Space Boy talks about in issue 3 or 4, he says that.
Because I know he points it out that you never felt loved.
Yeah, he goes, you never felt love, but the difference between me and you is I never cared about it. I never was looking for it. And 2 was. Like, that's all he wanted in life. And that's all she wanted, too.
Okay.
The only difference is Kraken has powers. So, like, he could do his own thing, and she couldn't do nothing. Except become really good at the violin. And she talks about in this last issue, she was like, oh, you guys finally showed up for one of our recitals. Like, they also, like, not only did her father, like, not care about her, the rest of them really didn't either. So, I mean, her turn as a villain, for me, was like, oh, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, she felt like an outcast the whole time, and she gave him one more chance. She came back.
She even wrote a book.
She wrote a book about it, which I guess they really didn't like. They don't talk about what they talked about, but we know that's not in the greatest light of them. But then she goes, in issue 2 or 3, she goes and tries to talk to them, and they were like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. We don't want to see you.
Well, she shows up at the Terminon's battleground, and Kraken saves her. And he goes, what the hell are you doing here? You're going to get yourself killed.
And Space Boy says, hit the bricks, basically.
Yeah.
And that's when she turns back.
I consider the white violinist, like, after she gets shocked, to kind of be like the Joker. Like, she is so crazy. Like, you know, all it takes is one, like, thing to piss her off, and then she goes, bing, you know, and, like, she'll just play a note that's going to freaking blow up a city, basically.
Yeah.
So she's very volatile.
So then we get to the huge apocalypse meteors coming down, and Seance holds up his hand that says hello, and the meteor stops. So he realized, they were like, oh, we know he was telekinesis or telekinetic, but we didn't know he was that powerful. He's stopping meteors. So
but he didn't know. They think he doesn't even know he had that or was that strong.
So I mean, that's how this ends. So they, she gets her brains blown out, but she's actually, we learned that survived.
Yeah,
but can't play violin anymore. She can't really use her motor functions that well.
Rumor can't speak anymore.
Rumor, they cut her vocal cords, so she obviously can't use her powers anymore. So she's also taken out. Space Boy talks to Mr. Robot up in the moon. Ben 10 tells him, hey, he's like, oh, part of the moon broke off. That's what came down there. Little nice little thing. We saw Ben again. We saw him in issue 1. He came back.
Guess who's there to arrest all those musicians?
Lupo's there. He had a little tip, it says, on a hunch. Locks them all up, and then they're going back to the Umbrella Academy, and there's that Eiffel Tower. Came down.
Yeah, and it's like in the rubble of their house.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. It was like ironic.
Ironically, but far from tragic, because like
that house was
the house held so many awful memories. So like it's basically gone now. So, and then I really liked how this ended. In one of the first civil exchanges I have ever seen between the two, the Kraken made a vague reference to ice cream, at which Space Boy laughed. He then said, looks like you got your work cut out for you, Flyboy. To this, Space Boy replied, we sure do. He decided to start by making a sandwich. So they make a sandwich, and that's the Space Boy makes a sandwich, which for 2 things. We see Kraken and Space Boy finally decide, like, you know, we can work together. We can work together. I like the way that was set up with the narration and the dialogue. It really works well. And then we finally see him make a sandwich, and Space Boy's finally like, well, I don't have to be a hero today. Like, let's make a fucking peanut butter and PB&J. Yeah. And reads quick.
Well, I think within the 3 days that Space Boy came down, buried Dad, fought the Terminauts, I don't think he's slept. He hasn't eaten. I think he had a couple cups of coffee. So he's probably like, bro, I'm hungry and I'm sleepy.
Who knows if these kids even sleep?
You know who is sleeping?
Space Boy, went to sleep. In the one issue. When he arrived there, he was asleep.
Oh, yeah, sure. He did sleep one night.
One night's rest.
But that's it. That's all we realized.
But he's a robot. So.
Oh, we see 7 sleeps, but nothing special about her. So.
Yeah.
What do you think overall, Gerard, of the book? Like, let's give a rating for this thing.
If I had to give a rating for this, I think I'd give it probably an 8. The art was fantastic. The story was really good. I think when my brain gets too much into Alex territory, then it starts bugging me because there's some things I'm fine with it being mysterious and like not knowing everything, but there's some things I still felt that you might need to know for plot progression in your mind. And I'm glad that there's a volume 2 to explain more. But I feel like it's not fair to by just throwing this out, if this was the only iteration of this, I would be like, there's so many like open-ended things that I don't know.
Well, the cool thing about that kind of stuff, at least for me, is like you can speculate on it. We could talk about it.
Right. You can use your imagination.
But you're right. There are always threads that they could always pull on for more stuff. There is a volume 2, and they announced last month they're doing a new series, which is coming out when the Netflix show comes out.
A third volume?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We talked about it on the show, but back then, like, it was before we announced the book club and all this stuff, so I don't know if you guys really had context for it. But, so they're making a third one. Same people coming back, Gerard Way and Gabriel Ball. So that'll be coming out. Alex, what do you think of the book overall?
I love this book. There's a lot of tie-ins to Hellboy, Turtles. I hadn't even thought about Batman. The Kraken was Batman. Honestly, I give it a 9, not quite a 10. But I read it twice this week, and I'm almost excited to read it a third time. Just
I want to read it again.
I like this book was great.
Yeah,
because even the second time around, I'm noticing other things. Talking to you guys about it has helped bring forward other thoughts. The rumor thing, I didn't know about that. The horror thing, I don't know that stuff because it wasn't in my stuff to read.
Right.
That I'm almost excited to read it again.
Yeah, I think I give it a 9 too. The art was really great. Coloring also great. Gerard Way, there's something about the way this story unfolds for me. I think the reason why it's not a 9 for me, not a like perfect 10, is emotionally there's some things in here that I think didn't hit for me, but creatively, like there's a lot of things that made me go, wow, like that's fun, it's exciting, it's what comics should be. Like there's a lot of things in here I was like, wow, like I don't know how this works anywhere else other than comics, which brings up the Netflix thing. Be like, how is this going to work on Netflix?
Yeah.
You really have to go crazy and not care that you got a space boy who's a chimp. You have like the squid and you don't explain it, like that it's so out there and creative that it's one of those books that I would, Suri, shut up, that I would give to somebody and be like, I think we talked about before, like Chrononauts, this, and there's some other things too, probably by Grant Morrison, that I would give to people and be like, here's what you can do with comics. Like it's to understand.
Changes the medium.
Yeah. Like,
comics is a medium, but like, yeah, you can twist how things are created.
What also surprises me is this is Gerard Way's first comic. You know what I mean?
Oh, seriously?
Wow.
Like to come out of the gate and be like, here you go.
Mic drop.
Just shows me how creative he is. Like, and we were listening to some of his music before the show, and I was listening to the album before you guys got here. What's it called? Welcome to Black Parade. Black Parade.
That song is freaking great. I want to listen to it again.
It sounds good. Like, I mean, it's also like a concept album. There's a story overall, which makes me know, like, this guy knows storytelling. He also went to school for creative writing and art.
Which makes you think, like, all the title pages are, like, there's something musical about it.
I wouldn't say things to song titles. Yeah. It very well could be song titles.
The Fabulous Killjoys is based on one of his concept albums, too, like the whole comic is. So, obviously, the guy knows story structure. Even he puts it in his music. So even though I was like, wow, this is from a first time reader, also I was like, wow, listen to his music also, and you're like, this guy's creative. Like he knows what he's doing. He's also pretty young too. 30 when you wrote this. I'm 30. What am I doing?
I have to admit, doing a podcast.
Doing this shit. It's good. It's good.
I have to admit, I'm excited to read book 2, volume 2 of this book.
I am really excited.
I'm going to read volume 2 for sure.
Yeah. So I get this one a 9 overall. I would recommend this. If you were in the Siouxland area, was at the libraries, they were promoting it too. They know what's up. But if you have Hoopla, it's on Hoopla.
Yep, it's on Hoopla 1 and 2.
If you want to find the issues, obviously Alex found them right away, so it's out there. If you want to get the trade, there's also a trade.
And bonus with the Hoopla, I mean, I'm sure the trade is the same thing, but you get some bonus material, like the free comic book day issue, and there was like a 6-page primer.
Was that free comic book day? Was that a mix of rumor and the horror story?
Nope.
Was it
There's two different things? Okay. It wasn't all one.
Okay.
Horror's in it. He uses his powers for a second.
He is in it.
They're fighting
I'm saying with the rumor, like 6-pager, and the 16-page.
The things I didn't get.
Right. There's a 6-page thing and there's a 16-page thing.
Because I tell you what, I wanted to see the horror do some stuff. I'd love to see an adult part of him, even as a kid. When you look at the issue 1 introduction for holy shit, those look awesome.
Yeah, concept art. You get some concept art.
And there is a fold out of the cemetery scene.
That's a seance in 5.
Right.
They do an experiment. This is a 2-page story.
Right. That one's not that big. And
this is
that
the
one's,
rumor story.
Right. The free comic book day.
You get... There he is. They fight this monster guy.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Looks good.
I mean, it's out of... they talk about it here. It's like something you don't need to read, but...
Right. It's just something to get you interested in the Umbrella Academy.
It was the
universe.
first thing that came out to be like, hey, this book's coming. Because Gabriel Ball talks about it that Gerard Way was so busy that they were like, we got to put something out to like keep people, because they announced it and then it wasn't coming out for a while. And they're like, we got to put something out so people remember this book's coming out still.
Right.
So he made that and that got put out. Let's talk about it. We teased it at the beginning. We'll go into news next, and then we'll talk about some audience reactions to this book. A 10-episode drama will be launched in 2018. Is based on Gerard Way and Gabriel Ball's beloved comic of the same name. 2 years after it was put into development, Netflix has scooped up the Umbrella Academy's TV series. The streaming giant has handed out a 10-episode straight-to-series order, so they're not even like going to make a pilot. They're like, make that thing, 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. But adaptation of Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba's beloved graphic novel, the drama will launch in the streaming service 2018. Not a date, just in 2018 sometime.
December 31st, 2018.
Counts.
And then they talk about the book for a second here. Steve Blackman serves as a showrunner and executive producer alongside Bluegrass Television, Mike Richardson, Keith Goldberg from Dark Horse Entertainment. So some Dark Horse people are working on it. Steve Blackman also worked on FX's Fargo and Netflix's Altered Carbon. I've never seen Altered Carbon, but Fargo's pretty great. Gerard Way is also co-executive producing the show. So he's on board. The pilot script was adapted by Jeremy Slater, who wrote, it says The Exorcist, but I don't think the original. Did they do a remix of The
Maybe it's
Exorcist?
the TV show that they're talking about.
Okay. Gerard Way says, I am thrilled that the Umbrella Academy has found a home at Netflix. I couldn't think of a better place for the vision Gabriel Ba and myself had when creating the comic, and cannot wait for people to experience that world as a live-action show. What drew us to Umbrella, and this is Netflix now. What drew us to Umbrella Academy is that it's wholly unique, visually and stylized. These aren't your usual superheroes, and the series will embrace the singular tone of the graphic novels. Dark, yet humorous, supernatural, yet grounded in reality. We're excited to see this world and introduce these unforgettable heroes to Netflix members around the globe. So it sounds like, Gerard Way's like, hey guys,
There's no way he would back it.
He even says in his quote, like, they're going to have our vision. And even the Netflix person's like, what attracted to this was how crazy it is. So I would imagine that we're going to
fall through with it.
We're going to get a pretty good adaptation. So.
If you add even supernatural to it, it's like they're going to go all out.
Let me ask you something. It's very fun to do this. Casting. What do you think?
Dude, I'm instantly thinking of that little number 5. Who could they cast for number 5? Like, he needs to be one of the big, like, something cool casting. The other people, I'm not really... Like Space Boy. Who could Space Boy be? I think kind of like Jude Law. Or like...
For Space Boy?
Yeah.
He's somebody kind of like...
Right. Someone kind of arrogant.
Obviously, Seance, you're thinking Grant Morrison.
Seance, but obviously it's not going to be him.
I was thinking Adrian Brody.
Ooh.
That'd be pretty good,
I like
actually.
that.
For Seance.
But could Adrian Brody act that crazy, though?
Yeah, he can.
He can get...
I don't know.
You know what? Just give him some drugs. We'll see where it goes.
He was in this weird movie. I forget what it's called.
The Pianist?
No.
That's not a weird movie. That's a long, depressing movie.
Came out after that, though. I forgot what it's called. I almost had it. But he's crazy in that movie, so I think he could pull it off.
The kid from Children of the Corn as number 5.
Years later. Still that age. If he was still that age, perfect.
He could be. I don't know. He was an old man in that.
Do you know what, though? It's like this world is so unique. Usually, like, I talk about it a lot of times when I read a comic like that, I kind of like cast the people and like kind of like play a story in my head. But I could really didn't do it with this.
I didn't do that at all with this. Yeah.
No, it's its own thing that I was just like, oh, here we go.
Right. It was recognizable on its own.
Obviously, the chimp is going to be that chimp that Michael Jackson used to have, right? Get him up there.
I just figure they're going to bring Caesar in.
Caesar. Oh, sure. They probably should do that, actually. Performance capture?
Yeah.
They should.
For most of these, they'll have to. At least for Space Boy and
What's Andy Serkis
Pogo.
doing? That series is all right.
Yeah.
Bring him in.
Well, he's still working on the Planet of the Apes. There's still more movies coming
Oh, is there?
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that.
Oh, I thought this was the last one.
No.
War. What's after war?
Good God, Joe.
The rebuilding of Planet of the Apes.
What is it?
But I think it'll be a very fun show. I'm actually looking forward to that a lot now that I read it and heard their comments on it. I think I would hope that people would watch the show and be like, "What's this thing?" and go and read that book.
I definitely, I want to reread it again. It was such a fun read.
So I want to read things. Now I want to read too, because now is the show going to go off of 1 and 2? Is going to be a mix of stuff?
Well, it sounds like the first season is going to be the first book.
Okay.
Well, it's 10 issues. 10 episodes. Only 6 issues. What do you think?
And so I think if
there's a lot of material to go through.
But I think if you did if it was an hour-long show, that's a lot of stuff that's extra stuff you're going to be putting in.
But there's some things you have to draw out, like
I suppose.
I mean,
my favorite for the TV show is that it's going to be a lot of flashbacks of when they're little.
That's what this did. It didn't. It wasn't using the flashback to tell the story. It was using the flashback to character development. Yeah.
But since I talked about it, let me bring it up here. First announced in 2009, the comics' 3rd volume is now promised for 2018. Hey guys, we pulled Mighty Thor. Announced in 2009, but we jumped in when it's going to be coming out next year.
There we go. Perfect.
Well, the rest of the article won't load. Whatever. But it's coming out. It says it's just coming out next year. They don't have an actual date, which it could get delayed since it's been delayed for 9 years.
Right.
I think with the TV show, it's going to give a little bit more boost
I think
to
so. I think maybe that's why they announced it finally. Be like, let's get back on this.
But to be fair, I'm saying this now. If you got to delay it for storytelling, by all means, delay it.
Yeah, I don't want different.
Don't rush it out for another artist or a sub-writer. If you need to delay that another 17 years, you do it.
Okay, that's a long time.
Reader.
You'll be dead by then.
Book Club Reader Feedback. This is from one of the League of Extraordinary Gentle People, brought to you by rootsoftheswampthing.com. Make sure to visit that for your important Swamp Thing news. By the way, announced Vertigo's coming back. Better jump on that Swamp Thing. I've been telling people for weeks on these ads. Greg Capullo said he's bringing back. He's going to do a Swamp Thing. Vertigo's coming back, so there might be a new Swamp Thing series. Like, if you want to get in on the ground floor, I know a lot of people like to get in before it's cool. Right now. So rootsofswampthing.com, go there for all your Swamp Thing needs. Find out about the avatar of the green. From the desk of Sergeant America, he sent us some feedback. Boom! I think it's funny how this book starts with stating things that happen, but we should not see a coincidence. Lots of stuff is dropped into her brain, left to hang, such as Hargreaves is an alien. I think we talked about that. That was put into this book, and his death ends, but they never feel the need to explain it more than that. We see the main characters born, given numbers that Hargreaves, Jesus, gives them, allowing them a distance not to be their father, but the leader of the group. Their plastic mother instead gives them traditional names, and they're later given code names, superhero names. For instance, one, Luther, Space Boy. Oh, his name is Luther? Mm-hmm. I never got that.
Oh,
I don't remember that.
Oh, rumor talks about it. She calls him Luther when they're up on the roof.
Hey, rumor has it. I think that this could be confusing to new readers trying to learn the characters' names. We often mention how difficult it is for us to remember character names. That just adds to the confusion while adding to the latest character building. It obviously did, because I didn't even know his name was Luther.
But I mean, he was called Space Boy. One of these
Space Boy most of the time. Yeah. One at the beginning, and Luther just that one line.
But but as an issue reader, I did read the issue fronts. I did read the parts.
You had the things to be like.
It showed me Luther? 1 through 7, and then it never said Luther, but it reminded me, okay, 1 is this character, 1 is Space Boy, 2 is Kraken, number 2, this, and this. It's like, oh, because you learn Diego is Kraken.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that's when they're in the mansion talking, when he just shows up.
I like that name, Diego.
That'd be a hard job as an editor to turn issues into a trade. I got to cut out so much shit to make it fluid. But
just the beginning and end.
But now I wish that I had gotten some of that, because that would be nice to just be reminded constantly, like, oh, this is this character.
But no, to be fair, it was a choice, a voluntary choice that I wanted to make sure I remembered these characters. I mean, this whole book was about these 7 kids. I wanted to make sure I knew who was who, and I tried to know their powers. But there's some of them that was like, rumor was a narcissist and something else. I don't know what her powers really are yet. So the whole time I'm reading going, what the hell is it?
Seeing Yanya become the villain was well done. In 6 issues, she was fully fleshed out by issue 4. Nowadays, we can't get a successful arc in 12 issues, or we get paper-thin villains. That's also true. Like, we talked about, it's fast, but it's not a quick read and there's nothing there. It's very dense and very rich in characters. Characters. Like I felt like this thing. Here's what I amounted to. And you get like a bunch of donuts. You're like, you go through them quick at least.
So these are like Krispy Kremes.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna eat 15 of these. Man, that was quick. They're all gone. Then you feel full. So I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nice and rich.
Imagine those squirts later.
Oh gosh, why?
The art of Gabriel is funky and fresh. Sometimes you will not see that in the big two. The amusing way he draws kids to the amusing way he draws Space Boy, my favorite. That's what he wrote. It's not my favorite.
I was picking up on that.
I was going to ask you guys, who is your favorite character in this book?
Ooh, guess mine.
Who's your favorite? My guess would be Seance for you.
Pogo.
Pogo?
No, it was 5.
Was it 5?
Yeah, I like 5 a lot.
You?
I like Kraken. I think he's cool. I think he's a badass. Like, he was the one character that if there was like a spin-off, like 3-issue thing, I would get every issue.
You know what 5 reminded me a lot of? In Cow, who was that guy that also was telekinetic, who died, like, had the mustache?
Oh, the
detective?
The Sinestro-looking guy?
I liked him, too. And he reminded me a lot of this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Now I ask you the question, and I don't even know the answer to it because actually my favorite character.
Yours is Space Boy, obviously.
No, mine was actually going to be horror, but I don't know anything about it, so it probably would be Space Boy.
The whole time I read it, I was like, the dude's a freaking gorilla. A+.
If he read that free comic book
leader
thing, he'd be like horror.
Plus.
I think my fear is that knowing that there's more story about horror, I was like, horror probably.
He
would
might
be.
show up in volume 2.
But as of right now, Space Boy is my favorite.
Last
thinks he's the leader of the team.
James Jean's covers from the single issue run makes me want to double dip and go back and buy them. Us too. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Dave Stewart's colors also added a powerful style to the art. Using a color background and black and white focus to some of the characters creates a unique focus. We talked about that when White Violin first shows up. It's like very popping, very terrifying. Lastly, the world building that Gerard Way did was a blast, in my opinion. He created a fun world with educated chimps that worked perfectly into the world as police officers and part of the Umbrella Academy. He mentions that they talked about how Hargreaves created the implants at the beginning of the book. But once again, like they never bring it up again. It's just like, hey, if you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, probably wondering why there's chimps around, but it really doesn't matter. That people are okay with superhero kids jumping into the future. Catchphrase at the end here. P.S. He has P.S. A little too late for this, Sergeant America. Maybe next time because we already picked the book. But make sure to get those picks in. So if you want to pick for the third book, get those in between now and the next episode. Alex is going to pick that book, but you can send him suggestions at Alex Pichard on Twitter.
Do it.
P.S. If you get a trade, hold on. If you get the trade, you get 2 additional short stories. Those 2 are awesome. P.P.S. My choice for the second book would be DC's Kingdom Come. Good Otherworld book with the use of familiar characters in the storytelling. Also, The Cape by Joe Hill and Nelson Daniel, Toll of a Broken Hero. Joe the Barbarian, Grant Morrison, and drawn by Sean Murphy.
I just bought that at Free Comic Book Day. I haven't read it yet.
If you want to go big 2, Identity Crisis or Civil War was the suggestions. Thank you, Sergeant America, for the feedback. If somebody else, I thought somebody else sent one too, but I can't find it. If you did, apologies. If I ever find it, I'll read it one day. But if you, I'll read it for the next time. But just send in the email. Send an email form is good. I mean, you can let me know on Twitter too if you want to, but email is where it keeps safe. On Twitter, it might be lost in the abyss.
Right.
That's it for Umbrella Academy, but for quarter 2 of Wednesday Comics League of Extraordinary Gentle Peoples book club. Gary, what book are we going to read?
Well, let me pull it up just so I can list the entire creative team. So why don't you guys sizzle who about the writer before you actually say who the writer is?
Sizzle.
Tell me this person, why you like this person so much as a writer. You don't remember?
He probably doesn't remember the book.
Jeez.
I can't remember the title, but I think I know the.
This is one of his first books, right?
Right.
So this is also somebody else who we enjoy their work now, who's somebody who's like one of probably my top 5 writers, probably Alex's too, I'm not sure.
Is one of the covers yellow?
I don't know. We're going to go back and examine his first works and see how he did, Mr.
Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron.
So
yeah, fucking the cover is yellow.
Then I don't know.
17.
So this is the first book he's ever done. Jason Aaron. It's with Cameron Stewart and Dave McKeag. I think did the colors.
We love Dave from...
Yep. American Vampire, is what it says.
Deadly
Cameron
Class.
Stewart did Motor Crush, Fight Club 2, and then obviously Jason Aaron's done Thor, Southern Bastards, The Goddamn, Scalped. The book that we are going to do is, sorry I didn't even say what the title was, The Other Side. How should I read the description on Hoopla or what?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. The Other Side Special Edition is a collection of the Eisner Award-nominated miniseries that it started it all for writer Jason Aaron with amazingly visceral artwork from Cameron Stewart and vivid colors from Dave McKeag. The Other Side tells an unforgettable Vietnam War story from the point of view of two young soldiers on both sides of the conflict. The Other Side Special Edition will not only showcase this powerful war story, but also include loads of extra material straight from the files of both writer and artist. Cameron Stewart was so committed to this project that he traveled to Vietnam to do preliminary research, and this collection will feature pictures, drawings, and journal entries from that trip.
So we're reading that. You said January 4th?
Yep.
Will be the
Thursday,
day
January
we
4th.
talk about it, so get your feedback in by then.
It's only 5 issues, not 6.
Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com. We're on Twitter at Wednesday Comics, on Facebook at facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. Like I said, Alex will be picking the book for the next one, so bug him at Alex Pastrello on Twitter. Let him know what you want to see us read. Maybe something out of the blue. We don't know. But Other Side, is that what it's called?
Yep, The Other Side.
The Other Side, we'll read about it.
I'm excited. I love like a switch in perspectives.
It's Vietnam, right?
Vietnam War.
It's Vietnam War. Actually, YouTube probably don't know, but like my world. All right. A lot of people excited right now because Ken Burns just released the Vietnam documentary that a lot of people are talking about. Vietnam, so it's back in the zeitgeist of and that documentary focuses on the other side. And now we get something we're going to read Jason Aaron's, but also like very nice to see where he came from. I mean, we saw Gerard Way's first comic. Let's read Jason Aaron's first comic. I mean, that's not what this is about. It's just a coincidence that you picked that also. But it'd be nice to see where he came from.
But the nice thing about this thing is that I'd never read Umbrella Academy. I don't think either of you two had read it before.
It was nowhere near my want list, but now I'm in.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what this, and I think we talked about it before, but maybe not. We talked about it maybe off air. The book club was going to be for like trying something brand new that I normally wouldn't read, or even that like I thought maybe like you guys would never read, or maybe something. We're not opposed also to going back and reading a classic and re-examining this thing. So either one, let Alex know for bug him.
In all honesty, let me know what you guys think what you want us to talk about. Because I'm more than willing to bring it to these two and go, hey, this is what we've been asked to read. You guys up for it?
So you can get that. It's on Hoopla. So if you want to get on Hoopla, you have
I've
the
seen
access to
trades in stores. So that collection got released by Image. I think it was a Dark Horse book at one point.
Either talk to them in store or go to the website, Random Comics and Cards, one of our other sponsors. Let them know about the book. Tell them Wednesday Comics said it's part of the book club and I need it. And you tell them, you give me that book. It's from Jason Aaron. Actually, a new trade came out, right?
Yeah,
new
trade
released like a month
Image
ago.
just
So it should be
I
there.
just said that.
They should have it. Oh, you're really sorry. So go and get that as any way you can. If you can't afford it, that's fine. Hoopla. Get it.
It's a nice hardcover. I think it's only $16.99. I think I said.
But yeah, if you want the hardcover, or if I don't know if you're gonna be able to find those issues.
I'm going to try looking for the issues, but I'll probably get that.
I saw it online.
Oh, you didn't?
It wasn't that bad.
No.
Like
But
$20
to be fair, I might do that because it's going to have more
What did
of
you
that
say?
extra stuff.
How much did you say?
for the whole thing, $20.
Oh, $20. I think he said $100.
So did I.
Oh no!
And I was like, "You're like, it's not bad. It's like $100." And I was like, "Whoa, buddy, calm down."
Right? No.
Just throwing out 20s here and there.
At Gerard2188, let him know what you think of him and his tie there, bow tie. Nice hat too. What do you call it?
It's a pork
Pog
pie
hop?
hat. Pork pie.
I was like, at first, it sounds like you're saying a porcupine hat. Oh.
At Alex
You want to know
Pastrello.
what? I'm the man who knocks.
At Alex Pastrello. I ring the doorbell. At Alex Pastrello or at Pastrami_news. Like I said, let him know. Bug this guy. If you want us to talk about a book that is so off our radar, let him know about it. At Marvin_Saguero. Talk to me on Twitter. I'll let you know what's up. Don't know why I winked. At Facebook. Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. Or WednesdayComics.com anytime. Where that's the website. If you ever need any of our, if you forget all this information, you ever need a place where you can find it all, WednesdayComics.com. If you ever need to subscribe to the show and don't know, you can go on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play. You go to WednesdayComics.com. There's links right in there how to subscribe. You click on it, it brings you to the page, and you can subscribe. You know what? Holidays are coming up. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It's a lot of time. You're going to be around other people.
President's Day.
If you know somebody who likes comics and you're like, hey, guess what? I listen to this podcast. And they say, what's a podcast? WednesdayComics.com. Just don't listen to it on there. That's fine. I'll take it. Well, you can listen to it on there. You can download it in any way you want to do it. If you got time, iTunes, leave us a review, either star rating or you can write it out too if you feel like writing out something. We appreciate it. Alex does. Garrett does.
That's right.
Gosh. I feel like I forget something. Wednesday Comics. Nope, I think that's it. No, I'm forgetting something.
I'm sure you are. And after you get done saying your name and our names, then you go, oh yeah, this is what else.
Did you mention both of our? Yeah, you've already done that.
I've done everything. I think that's time. Yay, buddy. Of course, this is the best memory known to man. And if that's true, adios. I'm Marvin.
I am the Bard, otherwise known as a poet, Alex.
I'm Garrett.
And everyone, keep turning those pages.